for an art school. Bronzeville said very clearly through over 3,000 petition signatures right here, over 578 letters mailed to Mayor Rahm Emanuel, to over 37 letters of support from 7 feeder local school councils in the area, that we wanted Bronzeville Global Leadership in Green Technology High School. Bronzeville is not satisfied. This is not a victory for Bronzeville.
No, it's not.
So we are clear on what our direction must be. So what we want to do now is move forward and hear from Dr. Aisha Wade-Bey to talk to you about some of the concerns we've had about the process.
CPS has derailed and failed to follow the request for proposal guidelines they have set in place. The RFP states the district will select only one high-quality application and will decline to approve weak or inadequate applications. There is one proposal that met all the guidelines of the RFP, and that is the Dyett Global Leadership in Green Technology. Like Brother E2 has said and stated, the coalition has revitalized Dyett, has engaged over 2,000 parents and feeder schools for the last 5 years. Sustainable schools in Bronzeville community is a high priority for us. This plan was developed by people who developed level 1 schools. Once again, you have demonstrated to the world the sham process that occurs for black and brown children. Your inflammatory wording is not a consensus of what the parents, children, community members, educators, and coalition partners envision as a victory when you select only no proposal. I say no proposal has been accepted.
That's right. Yes, ma'am.
And to that point.
So the next speaker is Dr. Monique Smith.
Going along with Dr. Bey and just talking about the sham of the RFP process, I think it's just highly disrespectful and disingenuous for them to piecemeal together a proposal in 2 or 3 days. And we know they had to piecemeal it together because just last week they were saying, we don't know if Dyett will even be necessary. So this is a plan they got together in 2 or 3 days, and they are saying that that is more useful, that they are more invested in our children than people who come from the community who spent thousands of hours working with education experts to put together a plan called Dyett Global Leadership and Green Technology. That is disrespectful, once again, to the black parents of this community. To think that they could piecemeal something together and it could be greater than the people who actually lived and worked and did this work. It is not our fault that CPS consistently has to change leadership every year, every 2 years. So those of you who will say, well, Barbara Bird Bennett is the one who had us go through this RFP process, that is not our fault, and we should not be held accountable, nor should our children be held accountable, because CPS gets mired in scandals and gets mired in all of this conflicts of interest, and therefore has to change their leadership direction every year or every 2 years. So that is not our fault, and it's not our children's fault. So that cannot be an excuse for why they had to then come together and try to piecemeal something together. There is a proposal that the people want. Where is the proof that the citizens and that the taxpayers of Bronzeville want an art-based school? Where is that proof? It's not about the community, and we know it's not about the community because at the press conference they had the people who were involved in that plan. They didn't have community members, they had politicians and bureaucrats who are building their careers on the backs of the people.
So just to be clear, when people say, well, if, you know, it's a win and you all won something and you should be happy, there was no negotiation with the Coalition to Revitalize Dyett. There was no negotiations. As a matter of fact, the Coalition to Revitalize Dyett was locked out of the press conference that CPS had. And the people that were in the press conference either sat silent while children at this school were disinvested in, and after we met with them, attempted to get their help, like Alderman Will Burns, like State Representative Chris Mitchell, and they did nothing while those children suffered, all the way to people actually participating in paying protesters to close Dyett High School. We're sitting there in the press conference with the CEO of Chicago Public Schools claiming that these are the community leaders. We are the leaders we need. That's right. They are not our leaders. They are not leaders the people in Bronzeville. So what we're going to do here, starting today and every day that we remain out here, is we're going to expose those people for who they really are. There's been many times that we wouldn't call names out of respect, but we're going to start calling names. So to talk about two individuals in particular that were at the press conference, we first want to talk about an organization called the Clio Center. And to talk about the Clio Center is Jeanette Ramon.
So it's interesting that you have Tory Barrett standing with Rahm Emanuel and the rest of the politicians. It's funny, those are the same people in 2009 who at the hearing and paid folks to say close Dyett. Right. So it's only fitting that they're standing there saying they want to save Dyett. So I'm confused. You either don't want Dyett closed or do you want it open? And I don't remember seeing any of those folks at the press conference when Mollison was merged with Overton Elementary. I don't remember seeing them when they closed 50 schools around these neighborhoods, parents wondering where their kids were going to go. I didn't see any of them when I was at hearings crying, saying, please don't close my school, and what should I do to keep fighting? Let's always remember, parents have the will to fight, but sometimes don't know how. I didn't see the Clio Center, so how is it that they represent me? I don't think so. Right. To
be specific, in 2012, at the school closing hearing at the Charles Hayes Family Investment Center, Tory Barrett brought an army of struggling black men and women who were either outside or whatever, and paid them $25 a piece to hold up prefabricated signs to say close Dyett High School. You can't support failure, and it's in your press package. It's proof. It was written in WBZ and it was written in the Catalyst. They were busted. It was the paid protester scandal. And they had the nerve to have him up there yesterday saying that he will be part of the new Dyett High School. Is that community input? But we don't only have leaders who betray the people. We have elected officials who betray the people. So today we want to talk about one who has been impotent in relation to the struggle of children at Dyett High School, who has been absolutely useless in fighting for the children in this community, who has been worse than an embarrassment. He's been irrelevant to the future of children in this neighborhood, and that is State Representative Christian Mitchell. Jay Travis, talk about it.
That's terrible. It's incredulous that Christian Mitchell would stand anywhere and say he fought to keep this school or any other school in this community open. Period. His campaign coffers aligned with dollars from the very privatizers that seek to close our schools, displace our children, displace our educators, displace our school staff. He's taken at least $200,000 from these types of groups, and I'll name the names. Stand for Children, Democrats for Education, Eli Broad Foundation. He's taking money from these folks to stand by and watch our schools be shut down and watch our communities suffer. And to have the nerve to stand there and smugly say that you've been concerned about this school is an outrage. And it was an insult to everyone in Bronzeville, not only the folks that have sacrificed for the last 19 days and who have gone without food. There has been no public action taken. There has been no public statements made to go against school closings. And when the people of the community stood up and said we wanted an elected representative school board, he had the nerve to tell people in our own community that perhaps competent enough to serve on the school board. That is not the kind of leadership that we need, and he has not been there.
Got to go.
He has not been there for African American students and parents that have been fighting for equitable education in this district. Period.
Got to go. Got to go. Got to go.
So we, the Coalition Revitalize Dyett and the Dyett Hunger Strikers have a response from Mayor Rahm Emanuel for Chicago Public Schools. Not only were we not involved in the process to determine which school would be there, that's what Tory Barrett and Christian Mitchell and Will Burns and them did in the back room. I received a phone call while I was in Washington, D.C. at 2:15 p.m., 15 minutes before the press conference, from Forrest Claypool, CEO of Chicago Public Schools, who told me that it would be an art school with a technology focus. I said, well, what proposal was that? And he said, well, we looked at things from the Bronzeville CAC, and we looked at what people wanted from things back in 2013. And what my reply to him was, well, you should be prepared to negotiate because we're on this hunger strike.
That's right.
And he said, there'll be no negotiation, we're moving forward. So our words to Mayor Rahm Emanuel and to Forrest Claypool, you're moving forward, so are we.
That's right.
The hunger strike continues.
That's right.
And we want the world to know that Rahm Emanuel, Chicago Public Schools, does not respect or care about the voices of black families. Now, you don't go into Lincoln Park and have sham hearings. You don't go into Lincoln Park and take people's proposals and then at the last minute do a switcheroo and then provide a patronage situation for the same people that we knew were trying to get this school in the first place. That only happens where you view children as instruments of profit. And that's in the black and brown communities. And so we will have a world-class neighborhood high school in this community, and it will begin the process of the voices of these people being honored and respected.
Absolutely.
You are not better than us.
Absolutely.
You are not smarter than us.
Absolutely.
And you do not love these children more than we do. So, we are open to negotiations. We are open to talking. We have talked to the Reverend Jesse Jackson. He will negotiate the following demands on our behalf. The Coalition to Revitalize Dyett wants to make sure that this school is also called the School of Green Technology and that it is prominent in the school curriculum. We want to see strong representation of global leadership in the school curriculum. We want the sustainable community school village. We want this school to be connected with the feeder schools in the area through curriculum, through local school council development. We want to see a village, not a disjointed network of schools that don't work together. We want Dyett to be a community school open to 8 p.m. every night with programs and activities determined by the community.
That's right.
We want the name of this school to remain Walter Dyett.
Absolutely.
We want the community to select the principal.
Yes.
And our selection is a man who is a Bronzeville resident, an award-winning educator, the creator of the Sankofa program that won awards all over the country at Cancer Middle School, formerly Lewisworth, a principal, and an assistant principal throughout the system, Mr. Dwayne Turner.
That's
He's our principal of the school. We want an immediate, publicly elected local school council. We will not have a school where Chicago Public Schools locks out our voices for 2 years. We can't trust you to do that.
Absolutely.
There's a competence issue at CPS. So you must have public accountability through every step of this school. And finally, we want full representation. For the Coalition to Revitalize Dyett wants full representation, no fewer than 6 people on the school design team or planning team or whatever the name of that group would be called. We are working with Reverend Jackson.